Hi everyone, I'm Nikki and welcome back to the Fundamentals of Print Design. We're going to continue with the inside pages in part 2 of our brochure design. And this means that we're going to mimic the visual styles from the first page into the second page because we want to keep that visual tie and that cohesive style throughout our entire project. So with this one, I actually do start and work from left to right. So we're going to start with this panel out here. And I kind of liked the way that this was going, so I'm going to duplicate this look but reverse it. So I'm just going to copy and paste what we already have as far as this blue box goes. Paste this here, and I'm going to line this up and drag this down to about there. So now I again have some white space here, so that would be a great place for a photo. So if you are constantly looking for your negative space, you will be able to kind of see what's available to you. It'll be like a puzzle that you're going to fill in if you place elements around. It kind of helps you with your design if you place elements and then kind of see what your negative space looks like. Okay, so now we have our image here and then another box for text. So I'm going to go back to my original design here and just grab the text. This is just going to be an About Us section. Again, use your lines here to line this up. Okay, quick thing about the paragraph text that we have here. We have our Futura Light. Again, keep things simple, no more than 3 fonts if at all possible. So we have repeating fonts here. We've made the choice of what's going to be our content text, what's going to be our bigger, bolder headline type text. So we have our light Futura here for the main text. I just have some fake text in here. We do have some paragraphs, and it is justified so that we have a solid line all the way down. And then our header text, again, is the bolder version of that font, and it's all caps. And then we are repeating the script style font that we used with our name for the headline as well. So we have some common repetition happening with the fonts. And this is a way to use 3 fonts, and it makes a very different look, and it doesn't get monotonous this way, but you're still only using 3 fonts to achieve this look. Okay, so now we have that panel. That was actually a quick panel to make. So now we have a choice. If you look at your standard trifold brochure, they would have some content in this panel and then some content in this panel. But I encourage all of you to really think outside of the box with your designs. Just because you have 3 panels doesn't mean that your design has to stick to these boundaries. And if you want to go above and beyond with your design, you will always think of ways to escape those boundaries. And what I mean is, we can have elements go across the panels as long as they're not going to be like text or something like that, where when the fold happens, you don't want text to be in a fold line. That makes it harder to read it. But if it's just a graphic element like an image, you can do that, and it makes a very interesting look to your brochure, and it's not going to stand against all of those. It's going to actually stand out of the standard brochure layout, making your piece look way better than the others. So the next step I'm actually going to do is drop in a large photo here. I'm going to take that pink image, this gorgeous image. We're going to drop this here. And I just want to show you what is available to you if you just go a little bit outside of the box here. So I want her to appear here and come over our line a little bit. And take this like so. And I'm going to crop in. So we can see this a little bit better. Okay. Now, we have this gorgeous image that's going to be the first thing somebody sees on the inside of your brochure. And it's coming over into our middle panel a little bit. And that is perfectly okay. I think it's totally visually awesome when you do something like this. And again, it's going to fold right here, and that's okay. It's not going to ruin the image that it's folded because you're not folding it down the middle of her head. It's more on her fabric. So not a crucial element. It's okay if it folds there. But then you get this interesting white space for content here. So now you can think about whatever you have left in your document and how to place that content. So if you have a dance studio, you might have some rates that you want to include here, another action word that we're going to include here, maybe another colored button, and then a block quote is always a good thing to have in a brochure, like a testimonial from a client. So again, to save time, we'll go back to our original document here, and I'm just copying this. We're going to paste it in here. We're just going to drop this in. Now you want to use this white space effectively here because remember, this is a fold line. So we don't want this text to be too close to that fold line. So we're going to place it here. And again, we've copied the same style of our headers here and here. And then we've added a blue color just to create some visual contrast in the prices for our rates. And then we have some more text here that we want to place. And I'm going to line this up in the white space using the arrow keys. You can move this around to where you want. Making sure there's a lot of space between our elements. It makes things so much easier to read. And this is actually a little too close. So I'm going to move her over slightly. Give a little bit more space between our text. Okay. And then again, we've duplicated that same style for a action word in our marketing piece. I'm going to move that down slightly. And then we have the same circle that we used on the cover panel there. We are going to use here. And again, make sure that it's far away from the fold line. You do not want this piece to be in the fold. And if it's too close, you realize that you have enough space here that you can move that away. A lot of white space here. Okay. And then we have our block quote. Now let me show you how this block quote works. And again, give this some space. Okay, so block quotes stand out. The font is larger. It can be all caps. It doesn't have to be, but we're using this font that we used on the cover right here. So that's going to be all caps. And then we have a stylized quotation mark, which is just a regular set of quotes, but it's a different font that kind of gives that a visual interest there. And then it has a different color as well. Okay. Now the block quote is going to be slightly cut for the fold. So that's something that you want to think about. If it's okay to sacrifice that slightly, you're still going to be able to read it even though it's on a fold line. But just think about that. And if that's the look that you're going for, fine. But if you want to make this a little bit smaller so it fits into this white space, that's okay too. So now we have our elements. There's one more space right here. This is a big white space. So I am going to drop in another photo here. So we have this with a white background. You do want to think about the backgrounds in your photos. It's really important because you don't want too many backgrounds competing with each other. And sometimes having elements on just a solid white background, or in this case, see how it's transparent? So you could lay this over to gives you a little bit more design options when you don't have background on your image. And this goes really nicely with these two images. It doesn't compete with them because it's on a solid white background. So that is the completed inside. So you can continue to move forward and place some extra elements here. For example, when I have something like this, I may zoom in here and dress this up a bit by taking our Align tool, going all the way across and making that a gray color, and making sure it goes all the way to the edge. And then see how it comes across here? So you're going to arrange this, send this back. Take note of the shortcut here because that just sent it all the way to the back. but we want to send this backward, not all the way to the back. We just want to send it behind this circle layer. So we need to do it one more time. Okay. And so that just creates kind of another little visual thing. It's not a huge statement. Not everybody's going to see it, but it dresses it up slightly. So this is our finished brochure design. So you can see that if you have a few things in place and you're constantly thinking about your design principles, that it's really fun to lay out your design and think about things like typography and color and using the colors already in your images, looking at the white space based on the images that you have, and then breaking past that tradition of that trifold brochure and bringing this image in a little bit and not having the standard size for that middle section is really going to take your design to the next level. So now that we have our brochure designed and you've gone through the layout, I'm going to go through each of the key principles of design and elements of design as far as color, typography, images, and so on, and really break down why I chose those for this layout. So you can look at this layout and really gather why things are the way that they are now that you've actually designed it. So thank you so much for watching.